So No Nut November is something that's been spreading over the past few years for a while, and it's basically along this concept of no ejaculation, all for the month of November. So, in order to approach this from a scientific approach, from an emotional approach, and from a common sense approach, I want to start with this simple analogy, right? We all know exploding feels fantastic, right? We also know that going and getting our favorite meal from our favorite restaurant, or like our mom's hot apple pie, or think about the favorite thing that your mom ever cooked for you. And then I want you to imagine getting that same dish every single day, right? When I was a kid, it was my mom's fried chicken. Fried chicken was so good. But if I had to eat that fried chicken every single day, eventually I would no longer look forward to it. I wouldn't want to eat it, and it might make me throw up, right? And it would make me probably kind of fat. So I want you to think about ejaculation the same way, just in the common sense piece. If you are ejaculating 6 times a week, 4 times a week, 3 times a week, and you're trying to figure out how you can have a little bit more stamina, one of the first things you should do is cut back on that, right? It just makes sense. When you think about the fact that an erection is fueled by dopamine, dopamine is the passion hormone. You need to have passion and anticipation in order for dopamine levels to rise. If you don't have passion and anticipation, dopamine cannot rise, you cannot get an erection, you cannot maintain an erection. So, what's one of the best ways to get dopamine to rise? Is to have something to look forward to. If you are jacking off and exploding a few times a week, there's not much to look forward to. At this point, you're just doing it because it's an option. You're just doing it because maybe you're bored. You're just doing it maybe because you're trying to fall asleep. You're just doing it maybe to kind of show off a little bit. So, when we think about it in terms of common sense, it makes a ton of common sense, right? And I want you to think about No Nut November a little differently. Kind of like you think about it, say, when you go on an alcohol fast. You're like, you know what, I'm not gonna have any alcohol for a week, right? And sometimes you get through the week and sometimes you don't. But do you beat yourself up about it? Nope, not at all. So when it comes to No Nut November, what I want you to think of it as is if it starts to cause you some level of discomfort, which it could, because technically, if you start to have increased pressure in all the ducts and the tubules, it can actually start to become uncomfortable, and you can develop something that we commonly call blue balls, right? So if it gets to that point, we'll go ahead and bust one off, and no harm, no foul. But as long as I've been working with gentlemen, one thing I know is that if he tells me he is ejaculating 2 or 3 times a week and he's having erectile issues, one of the quickest ways I can fix that is to have him scale back and not ejaculate for a period of time. So this is the clinical benefit that I've personally seen when guys stop ejaculating so much. Now, this is just for a short period of time, right? The other part is that study after study, when they actually look at the benefits, they may not see a whole lot of physiological benefits. The only physiological benefits that we can see is like, maybe the semen, there's more semen volume there if you've been fasting from ejaculating for a while. The sperm count goes up. That's been clinically proven through time. But also, what we know is that men will describe a boost of confidence, a boost in clarity, a boost in stamina, a boost in focus, and a deeper connection to those things that he's supposed to have a deeper connection with. So, with that being said, there is some benefit in deciding to fast from anything that you enjoy in your life, whether that's from food for a certain period of time, whether that's from sex for a certain period of time, whether that's just even drinking. We can even go into the physics of that. So at the end of the day, there may not be a whole lot of data that scientifically backs up the fact that nutless November is going to be great in terms of boosting your testosterone levels or anything like that. But I can attest to, and anyone who's ever done it can attest to it, and clinically I can attest to it, is that it makes a huge impact on how you feel. And I want us to get in touch with the fact that how a man feels is very important. It matters. And if you're going to feel better and your erections might be a little stronger, you'll have some better stamina, and you might look at your partner in a different way afterwards, like more lustful, like you want it more, then isn't that somehow going to be worth it? Think about it like this, like anything that's too easy and that's too over, just coming and going, you just stop appreciating it, right? I mean, if you think about it right now, somebody is thirsty and will not have any water today, right? But we take it for granted. It's just water, we just go ahead and drink the water. But if you were to go without water for, a period of time, for a day, maybe even 2 days, you would have a stronger appreciation for the water. So building connections and having a deeper connection is extremely important. Now, I will say that you can, in some instances, develop a bit of blue balls, but for the average sexually active gentleman, you won't get blue balls in 30 days. Right. So Nutless November is a thing. And as a physician, as someone who is a practicing physician, as someone who has seen this clinically, I can stand behind it. And it's interesting to me that most physicians won't stand behind that there's any benefit in fasting from ejaculating for a little bit of time. Now, I also challenge you to do this. If you decide to do Nutless November and you get halfway through and you can't do it anymore, well, no harm, no foul. Go ahead and let one go, let one blow. But also, I want you to want to be very clear that all of the ancient societies spent a lot of time teaching men on how to hold it and savor it instead of exploding everywhere. Yep. So that's my spiel on Nutless November.